I'm waiting for Dr. Karyne Wilner. We may or may not actually share this publicly. I'm excited to connect with her. Karyne, I met in 2016 in September at the Harvard Faculty Club. We had both been invited to speak by the Personal Development Symposium. And I joke around and say that Karyne is the one and only woman, it's actually a completely sincere statement, I've ever proposed to. I got down on one knee at the Harvard Faculty Club and said, I want you to teach me. She is so skillful at reading people. It's a blessing in whatever format, whatever modality is being utilized in facilitation of wellness, including yoga. Incredibly helpful in yoga. Mentally, emotionally, I'm very excited to be here right now. It's been a long stretch of 10 weeks of beta testing. If you go and find her, make sure to say thank you for helping Joe with further compounding the goodness in the work I've been developing. Further solidifying, compounding the interest on said subject by investing and amplifying her presence here today. Okay, well, here's Karyne. So make sure to look up Karyne Wilner and tell her she's awesome. If you don't watch this whole thing. Aloha from the Rockies. Hi.
Hello.
I was just introducing you before you logged on and saying that you guys might not see her speak at all because we need to decide if that's even a thing, but find her and thank her for building into one of her prior students and speaking buddies from the Personal Development Symposium that we were both invited by in speaking September 2016. Wow.
Been a while.
You and me. And I'm recording it only because I want to have, if you say, nope, don't want you to share the bit of you and me talking, at least I have in that incident, at least I have documentation of any contributions possibly made or anything you've said that might spur further thought and evolution of the work.
All right, fine. Yeah, so I teach at the Maine Institute now, and I just did a program for them on Saturday night for the whole school, which was fabulous. So I'm doing lots of stuff, and I finally got a publisher for my book, and it's in copy editing right now. So a book will be out next fall called Releasing Toxic Anger for Women, and then it has a real long title after that, so it's very exciting.
What do we do once we release it?
Well, good question. The original title to my book was Transforming Anger to Love. So that's basically the formula or the message in the book. Here's 7 steps to transform anger to love. But New Harbinger wanted it for women. So that's how it became Releasing Toxic Anger for Women.
I love that because I'm hearing the word toxic. So is there something that makes anger actually like a proponent for health and it's not toxic? It's like pure in a sense.
Absolutely. I mean, there's appropriate anger, how it's handled, how when you discuss it assertively in terms of a disagreement, you don't try to get back at people, you don't suppress it and turn it against your own body. anger becomes toxic when you suppress it, especially for women, and also when you let it control the situation rather than yourself.
So that becoming highly responsive versus involuntarily reactive.
Yeah, good way of framing it.
Unprocessed anger. So you're going to help people process anger.
Right, which I've always done. I mean, that's been the message in my training as well, but now I'm putting it out to a larger audience.
I agree. I really liked the full embodiment of, we had these whackers in your session, and I never felt intimidated by watching other people self-express. I've always been a little bit guarded in being self-conscious and thinking, but I nonetheless, I can say that I feel that, and through self-observation, that I still enacted the healthy purification of that expression, that
Right.
anger becomes purified as we express.
Right.
So
Well, that particular, the whacking part is not so much that that's necessary for the anger. What happens is it's necessary for the body because when you suppress a lot of anger, you're holding adrenaline in your body. So you're holding poison, you're poisoning yourself. So all that whacking is just about creating flow so that energy can release through your aura and you can be free of stuff that makes you sick.
I have my punching bag here, and you can hear my dog. He's getting some healthy release as well. um, I spent years further developing modalities. One of them being the age-old yoga. I mean, I really believe in the power of yoga as lived through my own body, in being present with our bodies, in feeling ourselves, in our depths, in focusing ourselves upon ourselves where there's no distraction available. For me, it was like the first time I got on a yoga mat, so a little bit of a tangent. Was uh, I was 18. And I just remember the first 3 times in 3 different states, one of them being a province, so different country. I cried because there was so much, and I had so much, I had fed into so much distraction. Television being the one that was most useful. I was raised in a house where we were only allowed 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That as we are less under the thumb of parental guidance, we kind of do what we want anyway. So it was a mainstay for me in tuning out. And living within our bodies is a reconnective modality, whatever the discipline is. It might be Qigong, it might be Pilates, it might be wrestling. I mean, it might be punching, whatever. So there's no real bias. Further developing reconnective modalities, what I mean by that is that my approach to yoga integrates more of a feminine aspect, feminine approach, in that, yes, anatomy matters, precision matters to get the flow of energy. And yet sometimes there's so much, as it is, misinterpretation of embodying the postures with locked joints, so the energy is not flowing anyway. Finding more fluidity within not only our bodies, but within receiving ourselves.
Right.
So that's a skill set I continue to develop. It's difficult to receive myself as I am, unfiltered, as I live in my body. Meaning that coming up upon the stickiness and finding what I need. That's I think, always been my greatest challenge. So trauma cooperative yoga, also now just simply called Yoga Soothe, is all about creating a space to discover what we need. Off of the yoga mat, the health sciences degree I spent developing in the identity association model. So I'm calling it a reconnective modality in that, and maybe you agree or disagree. And I mean, again, I want there's no like interrupting, there's contributing. That's what I say to everyone for the last 10 weeks. And this is week 10. So I've been saying, you're not interrupting, you're contributing. So I have the agenda of sharing specific information. And yet I'm also being very selective over what I'm choosing to share in the presentation. That's all right there. Because I want to be able to get the crux of the work, or the core of the work, across. Okay, so to finish the prior thought, as you probably know, and as I've been quoting as some of the research in the presentation that I'll screen share, as soon as we weigh in on this first part, is just that psychologists oftentimes say that disconnection from self is the very nature of trauma, and that a traumatic event in our lives doesn't necessarily have to transpire, but just being disconnected from ourselves. And I think there's weight in that, because when I read it, I thought, well, that was the disconnection from myself was a byproduct of a lot of the actual like traumas in my life. So I felt an echo of truth in that. What do you think about that?
I think that's true.
Okay. Well, then I think that, so the disconnection from self being a primary cause of being afflicted with post-traumatic stress. And in that, reconnective modalities are necessary. And this one, like your core energetics that you've been doing for how many, 2 decades?
Probably 4.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
I was just saying to the group on Saturday night that I met John Parakis in 1983. So it's 2024. So there you go.
Yeah, my birth year.
It all comes together, synchronicity, right?
Yes.
You were being physically born and I was being reborn. So there you go.
Yes. Oh, I love the recurring rebirth that happens in the cycles of our lives, those chances of solidifying like who we are and clarifying who we are and being with that human inside of us instead of the human doer. The human living, learning how to live in our lives and unfreezing ourselves from self-punishment and self-judgment, over self-analysis. And this is why, like, what I really hope to do is to get to the end, because there's the interactive material. Because knowledge is not power, but knowledge applied is power, as Dale Carnegie said. And that's what I also love about your training that I got to be a part of before my unexpected turn, my health awakening, is that it's embodiment, it's presence making, and it's courage to be fully present with ourselves in the presence of others in the same room as other people. So I'm skipping because I asked the military I spent 5 years from 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21 interviewing various branches. And I asked them to return and weigh in one by one the last 10 weeks. I have not succeeded in getting everyone on, obviously. But the people who have returned have been so instrumental and enlivening for the material and just in my own like self-expression and sharing of it. So I skip slides. It's either just to streamline and get to the crux of it, or because it's military related. So self-guided resource, all things identity association model. All things identity association model. So just like that, the reconnective modality, as I'm calling it. So what this work in today is about, and I'm not going to read like every sentence because you're able to read while I talk too, and that'll help us as well. And then wondering out loud, I think, is like the biggest thing that I can benefit from having you with all your wealth of knowledge and experience and practical applied knowledge here. And there